So this is Baruch here at the Tiving Elevator of Kolel, and we're going to take a look at this sefer, which runs really, really very deep. It's a sefer Zohar. This is a part of the Zohar, but it's a special part. It's called the Sifra D'TZNIUTA, the book of hiddennesses. In Bira Kesef Kavod, it has an explanation over there. And then down below, I just want to say that I was in Nari about a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago, I'm not sure. At any rate, I drove past this very, very large complex of this school, which is called by the name of Yeshivas Abir Yaakov. So the school is surrounded by a fence, and there's only one way in, and there were guards there. And I thought that maybe you would be able to go into the yeshiva, and as a result of that, you could see what was going on. But actually, it's a children's school, or it's a school. And it starts with little kids, and it goes, I guess, I don't know, I didn't get past the guards. Now, it turns out that the Abba Hatzera, the Reb Abba lives in the neighborhood, and people come by to see him. I really don't know. But I saw the building, that's what I could say about it. It's very large, and it must encompass quite a bit. So that's the best I know about this yeshiva, Aber Yaakov. So now what happens in the Sifra D'TZNIUTA is you have a series of what would appear to be pretty much ununderstandable phrases. If you just read the phrase, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And we're going to read the phrase now and try to get it. And then they're going to go into a lot of depth. Let me bring this back just a little bit. There we go. A lot of depth. So that's what we've been doing. We've been working on this, I don't know how long, but here we go. Zavai kadistalakai. Whoa, when this one leaves. Is the Isgalian inen busmin de tipsa. So I've looked through the Pirush, I worked on this phrase, and are revealed these, something called busmin de tipsa. So we're going to see the definition, but it means perfumed entities of Zohar V'Nuk, that is the interior of them. Srichim, so he has it here as shrikim with the shin. Other places he has it as a sin. So shrikim lo avre. The shrikim can't get in. Lo mistave beduchta, but they don't stay in their regular places. They don't stay where they come from. V'chachayas rotza v'shuv, and then there's a form called a chaya. It's a different kind of a energy from Hashem, called a malach, or they're called chayas rather. Baruch lecha el makomecha. So it says, run away from your place. V'im tagbia kanesher, if you lift yourself up like an eagle. V'im bein kochavim, and you're up above like between the stars. Sim ki necha misham oridecha. That's where you put your stake. I'm not sure what ki necha means. I'm thinking I'm going to look it up in a minute. So kan means a nest. Sim ki necha misham, and from there, oridecha, I'm going to bring you down. This is a pasuk in Vaja. I did look it up, but I forgot. Let's come over here. There's a blurb here. And let me see if I can get light on it. Will it help it? So he writes like this. In regards to what we were learning, we said that the combination of Yisrael Saba and Chochma Yisrael Saba, and Bina, and with Tavuna, they become one entity. And they make a yichud as a result of this. This is Mayim Nukmin moving up. And that's the purpose of their coming together like this, because it creates a fusion, or whatever it is, a fission, every reaction, or whatever it is, that produces the energy that will bring new mochin. Yivoyer Ata, now we can explain something else. When the mochin leave, though, and Zerav Zar Vanok are brought back down to the stage where she is a dot and he is 6 kitzvos. Zerav Vanok, Mizgavra Madinim, the dinim become overpowering. because what happens is the inner light, the Zerampin and the Nook, become exposed. Umalachim Balgadin, and then other Malachim, which are the forces of Hashem that come into this world, but these are ones that are punishing. Bali Adin. Mizdarzim the Poil Adin, they are urgently are ready to do the din. V'yavoyer Od, and we'll explain further. Hashem Yisbarach Barachmam Sholeach as Chayas HaKodesh. In His mercy, He sends out the Chayas HaKodesh, Ha'omren the Bali Adin, who then say to the Bali Adin. He uses the word Omrim there, speaking to them in some way. Ki livroach el makomam, that Adin, livroach el makomam shebemidbar, let them run away. This is what the Chayas HaKodesh are saying to the Bali Adin. Go back to your place in the desert. And Mavatal achizis rosha klipa b'kedusha, so then, and then nullify, and this will cause them to be nullified, the hold at the Rosh of the Klipa, Kedusha. I guess when he says Rosh, I'm not sure what he means by that, but he means maybe the mouth, or whatever it takes to absorb the Kedusha. And then you see is the nullification of the rulership of the Bali Adin, those which would carry out the din. Now, that's our subject here. So exactly what is it saying? I'm not sure. So let's see what he says. He says, "Vai, whoa, kadistalakai, oz letachtonim shagormin al yeder hatoyim histalkus amochim." He's talking about us, or the lower world. So he's really talking about us. When we get terribly off of the derech. Al yeder hatoyim himistalkim amochin, the godless b'zer anpin. What happens is the mochin that brought up the chabad of Zer Anpin, that it causes them to leave. Histalkus hamochim. V'az mistale gam bechinas levush chashmal. Now there is also a levush on the outside of Kedusha, which is called chashmal. The chashmal of Ima, which is her most outside part. Hashomer hazer v'nuk ma'achis, it's a chitzon, and that part leaves too. Let me see, the oz mistalik, that leaves, even the ultimate protection leaves, and they're exposed. V'izganion inin busmin de tipsa. Now he says, and as a result of that, you see that there's a revealing of these busmin de tipsin. What does busmin de tipsin mean? The tipsa. He says, oz nizgala or hapanimi shel zer anpen. So now, what's inside of Zohar V'nuk? Kedusha. So he says, Shel Zer V'nuk, Hanekroim Busmin de Tipsa. What does this mean? And he says, this explains, he said, Besamim, he says, it's like a perfume, something that smells really beautiful. Hamutstoim Be'argas, that are like you had boxed up perfume. You could open it up, and now you could take all of the perfume out. You would smell it all. If you're on the other side, that is the forces of evil, of din, this would build you up tremendously. And then what happens is then the kitzonim, which means falsenesses, but that's the way the world was made. If there's truth, there has to be falseness. Which causes the dinim to become overpowering. Then it says srikim, and it spells srikim here with a sin, whereas up above, where were they up above? Well, I only see it at one place, and here they're spelling it shrikim. We'll see it in the explanation. Srikim lo avre. So now here's where you see that it's like that. Srikim lo avre. He says, what's the srikim? They don't pass in. Because malachi bale adin hanikroim srikim, or shrikim, depending on which way you want to run it. Einim ovrim aladin bebechinas over hapesha. They don't overlook the din, like, say, for example, they overlook the iniquity. But on the other hand, they don't stay in their place either. Ve'enim is akvin b'mekom lamala. They don't stay up above. So he says that once this happens, once there's any kind of an avera that causes the histalchus of the mochin from Zeranpin, he says ve'enim is akvin b'mekom lamala b'kedei lahamtim ula yashuva tachtane b'shuva. They don't wait. They're like the horses out of the gate at a racetrack. Bang, they're going. Elam is darzing the pull a din, but they're really urgently wanting to do the din. Amnam, so we see like this. Barachmech Hashem Yisbarach al Borov, that Hashem has mercy on us. Now, just like we said before, if you made something which is absolutely kadosh, in the world that we live in, it's going to be something that's not kadosh. Amnam Barachmech Hashem Yisbarach al Borov. Sholeach as Chayos HaKodesh, we sent out the Chayos HaKodesh. These are holy, they're malachim, they're angels, but they're called Chayos HaKodesh, and they have the power of the Batel, as Mamshalas Balei Radin. They can nullify the agency, or what because actually, you see that a malach is actually an agent. It's the concept of agency. It's not a person without a body. It's not like that. It's really a channel that obeys its shlichus from Hashem Yisbarach. Gemoshe ne'emer v'hachayos ratza v'shuv, and this is what explains that the chayos, they're going back and forth. What are the chayos? V'hachayos hakodesh ha'elo oimnin the Bali Adin. Then they say to the Bali Adin, Barach l'chol el mekomecho, run away, flee for your lives, el mekomecho, to the place that you belong. And he says, where's the place that excuse me, this is a quote from a quote. Is a cholomer sheyivruchu l'mekoma b'baros, that they should run away to their places in the desert. Va'artzos she'enim meyushavim, in places which are unsettled. Ki sham hu beso u'makam mem shalto shalasamach mem, because that is where their house is located, their residence, and it's also the place of the samach mem. So va'af al gab. So that even we know that even though that the rulership of the Bali Adinim, those who are going to carry out Rosal his Gava, they want to grow and grow and grow, become more and more powerful. Became a Sheyesh the Rosh HaKlipa, that since there is at the top of the Klipa, now he says this interesting, again, we have this idea of the Rosh HaKlipa, Chizara Besofa Kedusha, which is holding on to the very end of where Kedusha begins. So you have where the Kedusha, I think I said it the wrong way. Ochsim Besofa Kedusha, at the end of Kedusha. In one way, if you're looking from the outside in, I guess it would be the beginning of Kedusha. If you're looking from the inside out, it would be the protective layer of the Kedusha. Im Tagbia, so he says, Beso the Pasuk, Im Tagbia Kanesher, if you will lift yourself up like an eagle, and you make your nest amongst the stars. Even if you're so powerful and you're so great, and you have to think there's a tremendous amount of evil going on in the world right now. So we see as the pasuk continues, Misham Oridecha, from that place, the highest possible, strongest place. From that place, I'll bring you down to Hashem. That's what Hashem says in the pasuk of Elvadi. And it nullifies the rulership, the strength. What's the right word? The shlita, the control of the Bali Yadin, below discover od, and they will not come back and become stronger again. Okay, so now we have a little bit of explanation down here, and this is actually a makeup shir because I poorly organized and I was not connected. So let's go on. So he says number ches went on this phrase. So we'll read it down in the light print. Vaikad istalak hai, woe when these leave, and he had said that this refers to the mochin of godless. Vizgalian inin busmid the tipsa. And now, when the gar of Zeranpin and the milk are gone, there's nothing to hold back the other side. So now you're looking at the Or of the Ein Sof, which is inside, it has no protection, and the lies and the outside thoughts. They come right in there on Nikroim Busmin de Tipsa, which are called by the name Busmin de Tipsa. So he says Ebesamim. What does Busmin de Tipsa means? It says perfume. Hamutznoim ba'argos, which is inside of a box. Open up the box. V'hakitzonim yonkim, and then the lies, they come and they nurse off of it, they feed off of it. Yonkim mehem mizgavrim adinim, and the dinim get stronger and stronger. Now this leads us over to number ches, and we're going to read number ches down below. He has what he calls makoros v'tziyunim. Let me see if I get a better focus. There we go. So we're going to look down here at number ches. We'll start over here and we'll see what he says. Now, he says something here that I really don't follow, but let's do the best we can. He says, look at the Yafa Shah, Shabir Khan Vizel Lashonu. I am Masha Kasa Rabbeinu Zal Ne'etz Chaim B'Shar Droshi Abiyah, which is Perik Yud Aleph over there. That's also known as Shar Mambat, Perik Gimel. Perik Yud Gimel, okay, but Sarach Bir. So let's go on. Kishahanai the Iman, this is hard for me. Mislav Shem Besod Mochim go Gufa de Zer Anpin, so they come into Zer Anpin. He says, Halavush HaYotzer Chitzon. These Mochin have apparently, he's saying that they have a Lavush. So he says, go Gufa de Zer Anpin, Halavush HaYotzer Chitzon. Denied the Ima. Now I think I misread this a lot when I read it earlier. He says on the very outside of the Nai the Ima. Einon Niknas go Reisha de Zer Anpin. That part doesn't actually part of the Nai of that goes into Zer Anpin. Amnam Nishar Bebechutz Shel Zer Vanuk. Stays outside, and it's like a clothing for them, protection. Vod Kosov in them writes like this also: Amnam kasher Yisrael chotim chas v'shom. Oz Gorman his stalkers, of what happens is that they cause the light to leave. Aim Alyona from that is the light of the upper mother, which I guess is Tavuna. Me'al habanim, from on the children. And then what happens is, as a result of that, is that the other side, the forces of the other side, are able to nurse. So this is what it means when the Zohar begins with the phrase "woe" when this leaves. Shehu istalkus mochen the godless v'nai the migo gufa de zer anpen. So when we say istalik the mochen the godless, that's the same thing as saying that the nai of ima, which was inside of zer anpen, leaves. So he says the gufa de zer anpen. Shaz mistalik gam lavush, that lavush that we were talking about, which is the outside layer, which is the greatest protection. Or does great protection at any rate. It's the ultimate, it's the, what would you say? It's the last line of defense. It's the line of defense. So they go together. The chashmal is maybe even a layer on top of that, another protection. So now, so he says, and it reveals those perfumes, that sweet perfume, the sweetness, which is matok midavash, like we see in the Zohar. Shehem zer v'nuk, that is zohar v'nuk, nisharim guluyim built the lavush, where they are now revealed, exposed. That's a good word too. Without any lavush. He says, Ki oz yonkim b'chetzonim or p'nim shalachem. And the dinim become more and more powerful. Now, obviously, we're living in a world of the vok. It's a world of tkadnus. And just crazy, crazy things going on. So he said, "Lefi hamavura v'derech b'divrei v'perish haTalmud, the irei kan b'ham shachas mochem the hashlomas hakoislim." So what are we talking about? What we were learning before, which was you had the combination of Yisrael Saba and Tavuna moving up. This is all Mayim Nukvin, and joining together into one parts of with Abba ve'Imei Eloyin. As a result of that joining together, it produces a tremendous shefa. That's the shefa of godless. So this is a concept of oneness. As we make more and more oneness, we make more and more bracha. So he said, "Lefi hamavura v'le'era b'divrei b'pirish haTalmud, the Iri kan b'ham shachas mochem the hashlomas hakoislim." Now he's got to explain. He says what's happening now as a result of that yichud is that new mochin come into Zohar v'nuk. And this mochin, the hashlomas hakoislim, will build up their walls, because before that, let me see if he says that the bevura be'etz chaim in Shar Ches, Ein Sham, he said, Yivur kan, so let me just, maybe this is a quote, Ein Sham, he said, Yivur kan, hete de besidik mochim elu, ika achizis kitzain. So he says that this is in fact what happened. What happens is that if there is no Kedusha, if the mochin, the godless, if you can't see God's hand in what is going on in the world, he said, mochim elu ika achizis achitzonim, there is the possibility of the chitzonim getting a hold, not the possibility, there is holding on to that, on to Kedusha. Mavur be'etz chaim explains over there, Sham, shekodem hamshachas mochim elu, before these mochim begin to start flowing, so we're going back a little bit to explain what we know. They have to have one coastal between them, one wall between them, because the fact is that they are born into the world of Kitzonius. That Kedusha, maybe that's talking about us, is here, even with all the stupidity that goes around in the world, all of the, not just lawlessness, but it's really craziness that the world gets itself into, which ultimately leads to bloodshed and so on and so forth. Then after that, through the mitzvahs, the maisim tovim, the Jewish people, comes back the hashlomas hakoislim, which are called by the name of panim b'panim. We saw that someplace else. I throw that in. The hashlomas hakoislim, that causes them now to be able to reverse and be strong enough with their own backsides to be independent from each other. That this stops once they get the mochin, the panim, which are called by the name panim b'panim. Now they're able to be panim b'panim, and their backsides are now powerful by themselves and able to protect them. So look over there also. The Bishas Hadasira, that the time of the separation of Zohar v'nuk, Nimshachim Mocha Yosa Gedolim, a bigger, what is a more powerful set of Mochim come, Besod Asi Chesed Uparishlon, that Chesed came and separated us. Asher Bezecha Beleke Yenikas Itzonim, in that situation there is no feeding off of Zohar v'nuk from the Chitzonim. So the new Mochin are able to protect them because they bring Moach, which is called by the name Panim B'Panim. The Panim B'Panim can only happen if the backsides of Zohar v'nuk are strong enough to be able to withstand. Now he's talking about this. This is the Chashmal he talked about, and the Chitzonius of the Nai. So let's go on. So he says, V'hine b'yof Hashem, the shofa kasham sarosham b'ba bir madur nekroim zer v'nuk b'shem busmin de tipsa. Where does this come from? So it sounds like, let's see. The question is, busmin, you could see there's basamim. So it's perfume. Something smells really, really, really good. He said busmin de tipsa. And it's interesting that Rabbi Memran in his Sefer and in other places from Kabbalists, we see that the sense of smell is something that's not related to anything physical at all. It's very difficult to see what physicality that has to do with smell. But Amnam, Yesh Devar Lefi Dibri Hadras Melech. So we explain like this. Shabir Khan explains over this the Fidarko. Busmin. What is Busmin? Haim Anashamos should be Yesod. Yesoda. These are the neshamos that are in the Yesod. It sounds like he said Yesoda of the Nukva. Upirish, the Tipsa, Kamo Argis. It's like a box, like a jewelry box, maybe, something like that, something really, a really nice box. He says that all of this perfume is in the box. If you open up the box, you smell the perfume. Now, this is kind of like a reverse. That's exactly what the Kitzonim want. They want pleasure, and the pleasure you get from the box. But once the box is open, when the Mohin leave, then the box opens. They get in, they start smelling the treasure. Maybe stealing the treasure is the best way to say it. That arges, that box. Shabo Haim Mutznoim is where this beautiful scent is. Yeah, what I was going to say was, if you take the beautiful scent, but it's inside of a box, then nothing on the outside can smell it. Now, I was thinking, I just realized it's like I'm in a mental trap here. Because what's inside of the box, it's not revealed to Chitzonim. And since we're reading this, that we realize that we're actually in Chitzonius looking at this box. We can't smell anything because the box is concealing the smell. That is the scent. Let's not use those words. The scent. And there's a funny thing about it. You have to remove the box or open the box to be able to smell it. But the smell is the scent. Be able to scent it. The scent is going to the other side. Think about the other side. We live in the other side. Our job is to bring the light in. And this is what you can say now. Val derek zeh yisparish gam lefi hayafashah. And because of this, they separate. Even according to the Yafashah, the zer v'nok shehem bebechinas busmin, the zohar v'nok, and we mean that the penimius is the concept of sweet scent. Pirish besomim, harom is the or hapenimi the zer v'nok, which is really a reference to the inside light of zohar v'nok. Shehoim utznoim betipsa, they were hidden inside of this box. Shehu so levush hachashmal. Now we're getting a lot of new words here. Well, actually, I know these words a little bit. It's a concept of that levush we talked about, and the chashmal, which is the most outer membrane of the levush, let's say, the outer part. Shehoyim bechazach aleichem, that was covering over them, kamo arges, like a box. V'ata nistalak mechem halevush, but when the levush leaves, whoa. Plain is Galian, and so that we see, therefore, that they're revealed. Well, that's the shir today. This is Baruch Fleischman. You've been listening to the Sifra D'TZNIUTA. And a Pirush, I mean, somebody spent a lot of time to get all of these different avenues on paper in book form. There's actually 2 book forms. I just want to tell you that this part, I don't know it. I'm learning it. But this part is, according to the Uri. Can you believe, those of you who may have some Ashkenaz background like me, there's another part of this Sefer. Now, these are the Apolafia family. Reb David Apolafia is a tremendous saint. He has another half of the book that just deals with the Gra, the Vilna Gaon. Because when you're around yeshivas, Litvish yeshivas, well, everybody understands that the Gra is the head of the yeshiva. But then you see what the Gra actually does, because they're interested in dinim. They're interested in the subject of how to sweeten dinim, or avoid dinim, different kinds of ways of protecting spiritually our lives. I forgot what I was going to say, and I think I'm going on. This is Baruch Fleischman. You can think of it and let me know in the comments if you want.